And then we had the colorblind thing. Now, you've got to be in it to win it. You may notice that I've had these bars on the bottom. Students need to recognize that I'm asking them a question. Okay, I'm sort of a chatty, talking, I'm always asking rhetorical questions, et cetera, et cetera. Which are the questions that I'm actually polling, and which are the questions where I'm just kind of, well, what do you think? You know, what would you do if you were in this situation? Or do you think sodium is going to be bigger than potassium or not? I mean, sometimes I want to ask that question, sometimes I don't. And then they'll even laugh. I'll be like, I should have probably made a quicker question about this, but what do you think, sodium or potassium? Which one should be bigger? And so they're like, make one, make one. And so then I can go over and do a slide on the fly. And but so they need to know you're asking a question to be polled. Okay, they need to be able to know that it worked. If you saw Doug Smith, he's like, they just have a hard time pushing the button. I don't know why they have a hard time pushing the button, but just push the button. They're not paying attention that they push the button. You get a lot of this. I'm like, it's RF, guys. It's RF. Don't need to do that. So they're having a hard time pushing the button, okay? You want this response table, especially for a big class. This room, I sort of look, the number up here in the corner on the bar, it's about 20. We're done, okay? On any given day, I can look at the lecture hall, and it's somewhere between 100 and 150. I can't tell you what it is, though. And so I'll get a sense after a few slides how many are there. But I don't know, and so I want them to know. And so they need to know their number. They have a number once I have a participant list, and I just make it up. And so their number is going to light up, and we've seen this yesterday where it's green, and if you plug it a couple times, it's blue. It takes too long to figure out what number you're in a big class, because you've got to do a lot of control experiments and sort of go, okay, wait, am I green? Let's go twice fast and then slow when your turn comes up. So they have to know their number. I just post it in WebCT as a column. It's totally easy in Gradebook to create a column in WebCT if you're worried about confidentiality. If you don't really care, I have some colleagues who just post their university ID and their clicker number right after it so that they can look it up, because they need to know this number. It's much easier for them to know, I'm number 43, right? And so then they could just go from there. And then a few other MI logged in, and sometimes they're fun and sometimes they're not. But we have a big corn festival, and so how many ears of corn did I have? And sometimes in my upper level classes, it's a way to convey information. I'm reminding you of things, so we have an exam, Amadeo Avogadro is Mole Day, I guess, and so which is October 23rd for the non-chemists. So some sort of fun musical 1980s trivia thing. And then I had messed up and put the wrong date on a problem set, and so I said it was due Monday instead of Friday. And so it's sort of my way of laughing at myself and conveying information that, look, remember we have an exam, today's Mole Day, and I blew it on the problem set. Okay, all in one sort of MI logged in question. Daytona 500 for the NASCAR fans out there, and sort of another sort of reminder of, hey, it's Valentine's Day. If you haven't gotten anything yet for your person, you better hurry up, and just some things like that. We also have a big involvement on our campus called the American Democracy Project. I know this is spreading to a lot more campuses. I'm always embarrassed because they say, oh, science year classes, you don't have anybody who's civically involved. And I'm like, well, I'm going to change that. That's ridiculous. You're telling me the more science classes you take, the less civically involved you are? I can work statistics too, so I'm going to change that. Right? So if I'm going to do am I logged in questions and they're about, did you eat any corn, I can just as easily be really embarrassed about, well, everyone knew Clarence Thomas, but who's the Chief Justice? It was like, I don't know, not very many knew that it was John Roberts, although Alito got a lot, so they knew it was somebody recent, right? They knew the president had been in town. That was good. Condi Rice is apparently the Secretary of Defense. Who knew? Okay, and so you're like, these are sort of, and it's name recognition, but at the same time we can sort of, this is not what I teach, but I'm a teacher and I happen to teach chemistry, and so we can just happen to instill a little bit of civic engagement in them at the same time as part of this on campus-wide initiative to get students more civically involved. And so these sort of am I logged in questions are a way for me to cheatingly ask them things, and these are all correct. Okay, Condi Rice is still correct. Okay, still correct that you can get Condi Rice as the Secretary of Defense, or even say she visited Peoria, and you'll still get credit for that. And the reason is because I'm lazy. That Excel formula is a pain in the neck as it is. For me to actually have you compare the raw data, does it match the correct answer for the whole class, or did you click on any one given question, is a pain in the neck. And so what I do is, did you click at any time during this class period? If you clicked at any time during this class period and got a correct answer, including this one, then you get however many points there were that day for the participation section. And then I actually look at how many you got right, including this one, which so we get bonus on that 40% side as well. And so then you can see that. And so this just kind of is an easy way for me to say, if you were there and you clicked a question at any point, then you're going to get at least a 1 in that column. And then I can say anything greater than 0, give them the full credit for the participation side. And so it's a cheat for me. It pains me to have to give you credit for not knowing anything about your government, but that's okay. All right. So this is one that I've sort of, I mean, I went to a thing where they mocked us for not doing enough in science, and I was like, well, that's easy. That's an easy change. I can do this. Stitching time saves 9, whatever your cliche of pound of prevention versus ounce of cure. No, other way around. Right? Ounce of prevention worth a pound of cure. Whatever you want to do for being prepared in a different way, and that is give it to the students. They really have to be adults. I'm not a clicker technician. I really am not. You have to bring your own batteries, and if you have a problem, I need to know right then and there. Don't tell me in 3 weeks that 3 weeks ago my clicker may not have worked, so here are the answers. I don't even know what I asked on that day, and I suppose I could dig through that, but I got a big class, okay? And so if I put it on you that if you think you had a problem on this day, start writing it down on a piece of paper and come up to me right after class and say, I think I blew it on this day, and then I'll take that piece of paper and drop it in my file, admittedly, but at least it feels like there's more on them. And when they own up and they have a stake, they're way more, oh, he's giving us responsibility. Ask, don't tell. He's giving us responsibility. Wow, he believes that we have that in us, and I do. So then prove it to me, right? Don't act like you're in high school anymore, and I'll stop treating you like you're in high school. So it's on you. I have to do bread and circuses, though, right? They say clicker increases participation, increases attendance. Sure. But on a Friday afternoon when you're teaching that class and you got 100 gen ed people and 50 science majors, the 50 science majors are there, but the 100 gen ed people may not be. So a little bit of bread and circuses never hurt anybody. We got to do demonstrations. Another way that you can use clickers to sort of get your students to buy in is if I do a demonstration, even if you're there, your brain may be checked out. All right, what's going to happen, guys? I have this cool density column. So density is mass over volume. We've been talking about density for a while. I have this density column that I made up. Here's the mercury. Then I have a student drop in some chunks of metal, and the metal falls through and it floats on top of the mercury. And then this colorless layer is chloroform. I put a drop of red food coloring in the water so we can tell the difference between the two clear colorless layers. And now I have two clear layers, but a red clear layer and a colorless clear layer. And then I put a little bit of cork on it, floats on the water. I drop a piece of rubber, and that goes through the water and floats on the chloroform. And then I say, okay, I have some chunks of aluminum. Where are they going to go? Okay. This would be an example of something like Jeff was talking about last night. This is not actually a picture slide. I just kind of took a thing and drew some arrows, A, B, C, D, E. And, you know, I don't change the colors and things like that. I just hide them behind the picture, and I can type A, B, C, D, E somewhere. And so you can tell me where it goes. And so we probably have no idea, and that's fine. But if I give you the density of aluminum and I give you these things, and you notice that things that tend to have lighter densities tend to float, then you think, okay, well, so it's going to probably be 2.7 probably falls somewhere in here, and so therefore it probably is going to float on top of the mercury. Okay. But I will ask you, and then we'll do it, and then we'll talk about it. I won't do it. I won't tell you what I want, and then see. So, but this is not a chemistry class, so we don't need to do that. And so good, you guys were listening. Okay. Now, who's your daddy, right? Demographics. I get the mainframe lists like 2 weeks before class starts, and they can change their classes until 10 days in. I don't know who the heck's in my class. I mean, I try to know them all by name and face, but I can't because it's constantly changing. And so I need to gauge some things like the mainframe says you have to take these prerequisites to be in my class. The mainframe says these are my majors. But just like I did with you this morning, I kind of want to know who's really in here. And so your mom and dad think you're this major. Fine. What is your real intention for taking my class? I'm required. I have 6 weeks of free time is the summer, one of my favorite summer questions. Oh, I have 6 weeks of free time and taking your summer school class. So I want to know, this is an upper level. I picked a demographic from an upper level. So these are all chem majors. Are they chem ed, chemistry, biology, or are they double majors? I asked you where you're from because then I can sort of give examples that if I'm going to give examples for my field, and everybody in here is a business major, then I'm going to really stress the economy angle. It's a points economy. Energy is like economy. Nature's cheap and really likes to get the best return for its investment. We'll push the whole financial angle if I can, because I can use whatever analogy I want. If you're all business majors, that's what you're going to incorporate into your mind. I'm not a big constructivist, but if you believe in constructivism at all, you tend to incorporate the things you already believe into your own belief structure. So I can work with that. Even if I don't totally believe it, it may work for you. A lot of different learning modes out there. Let's see if I can make that work for you. And so the other one is, I have this math prereq that, I don't know, advisors just ignore it. Okay, and so I need to know, you don't need calculus or above to take my class. But if you have all had calculus or above, it's really going to make my life a lot easier to teach nuclear decay.